purposes. Here we go. So we want to do a round of short check-ins, just about 30 seconds each, and share any questions or comments you have from last session. How was your Empathy Buddy call? And if you facilitated an empathy circle over the past week, you can report on that, what that was like for you. And I'll start and then call names. I'm going to write them down so I don't miss anybody. Here's Aljazi. Okay, so my Empathy Buddy call, oh, it was wonderful. It was like midweek, and it was a great pick-me-up. I was with Linda, and so yeah, it was very, very nourishing. So that's my check-in. So Ralph, would you like to go next?
Sure. Glad to be here. I had a great buddy call with Shannon, and I have this ongoing buddy call with a friend of mine who's a clinician, works with very challenging clients, and he's taken to this empathy circle approach, and I think it's changing things, and he gives me ideas. So it's a good week that way.
Great. Thank you, Ralph.
You're welcome.
Martina, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi everybody, it's good to see you all. I had an Empathy Buddy call with Celine, and that was really nice. We really have a lot in common. So it was just nice to connect. We both practice meditation, which is not the most common thing. So it's nice to talk to people that do that. And I didn't have an empathy circle, but I did go to Edwin's meeting with Celine and Bill, and another man was there on the design team with like special projects that people are working on. And I'm planning on doing a regular empathy circle on what brings you joy. And so I actually made a Facebook event already, but I'm not able to co-host with anyone for some reason. That option's not coming up. I have issues with that. But it's on LinkedIn, it's on Facebook, and the topic is what brings you joy. So it's going to be the second and fourth Saturday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, if you guys can email me if you're interested in it. So yeah.
Thank you. So Tiffany and then Stephen.
Hey, Kathy. Okay, so I was practicing empathy this week at work because I work in healthcare, and trying to repeat what people say back to me. And what I've learned about myself is that I can't be doing anything else while I'm doing that because I may miss out on what they say. So I can't really multitask and be a practitioner of empathy. I can't. I don't know about other people, but I can't. But that is what I learned. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. So Stephen and then Linda.
Good morning. I had a Empathy Buddy call with Francesca. I wish she were here because I'd love for her to hear me say how wonderful it was. Also, one of my housemates and I are in the practice of sharing empathy, and it really, really makes such a difference in this household. It's remarkable. I want to say that I have not created an empathy circle, and I don't want that to be construed as disinterest. I'm just in a difficult moment regarding scheduling and focus, and I haven't been able to pull it off, and I'm regretting that. but it's not because I'm not interested, and I'm still trying to imagine how I will make that happen. So I just wanted to say that. Thanks.
Kevin. So Linda and then Kevin.
My empathy, my buddy call was with Kathy. Very engaging. These buddy calls are helping me practice emphatic listening while having a conversation, as opposed to just going through the training, but actually having a conversation with a person. And I do believe that, and I have a group that's meeting Sunday, and I'm going to try to engage this empathy circle method with them because we've been meeting on other issues. I find it helpful if I tell the person up front that I will be, this is part of my training, I will be interrupting, or not interrupting, but just saying, okay, let me make sure I heard what you said. So just having these buddy calls is helping me incorporate it into a general conversation. So I'm encouraging people to consider this training. I have my mediation post is adr4u.com, and I posted it on there. That encouraging people to consider the training. So I'm actually promoting this empathy training. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Linda. Kevin and then Shannon.
Good morning. So I have somewhat promoted the Empathy Circle with my herbalist that I go to. We actually sat and had a small session. It was very interesting. The back and forth teaching and listening and speaking. I expressed to him that he does it already when he listens to me. He says, yeah, because you listen back. But he said with other people, it was challenging. So it was very, very willing. He said he's going to look into it as well. And I also tried with my director, and he was like, that's very exciting that you're doing that because you don't listen to people. It's like two different sides of the coin from two different people, which is I thought was very different views of me. Which is thought. I had my buddy meeting this morning with Tiffany. It was very interesting. Challenge was time, and it was a very powerful subject, I think, in itself because of everything that's happening right now, managing it. So it was very enlightful, and I thank her for that.
Thank you, Kevin. So Shannon and then Vesna.
Yeah. Thanks. It's great to hear from everyone and great to be here again. I have found some similar things from trying to do active listening, not a proper empathy circle, but trying to bring this practice into relationships and having an easier time doing it with newer friends, feeling awkward about bringing it in with really close family members for some reason. So I'd kind of love to hear people's experiences with that. And finding when I try to do it, it really gets people talking more and more. It really encourages people to keep talking and they'll correct you. And it just deepens the, it deepens the communication a lot. I also had a great buddy call with Ralph, and it was wonderful to kind of hear a little bit about the background and kind of about you, Ralph, and to share a little bit too and do some empathic listening. So I really appreciated that. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Shannon. Vesna and then Raid.
Good morning. I actually dropped in one of the Monday sessions, introductory sessions, which I really enjoyed. But unfortunately, I'm in between jobs right now, so I've not been able to, to attend the Monday. And I was just looking for another cohort where I can do Saturdays for the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks. So I'm just, if you don't mind, if I can just be in the background and, see how you guys get on, that would be great.
Well, this is a training, a 5-session cohort. So it's just for the people who are registered for it. Next week, next Saturday, we do have an open empathy cafe. So this is the last session today. So next week would be really, if you can do a Saturday at this time, the same URL would be the place to join us.
Okay, wonderful. Well, in that case, I don't want to intrude. So you guys have a great session.
Okay, I look forward to seeing you next week.
No problem.
Yes,
Take
ma'am.
care. Yes,
Thank you.
no problem. Bye.
Bye.
Hey.
So Raid and then Jesse.
Good morning, everybody. This week was good. We started Monday. I joined Edwin and team in the Monday sessions. They were kind enough to give me a breakout session that I ran. It was fun and nice, and I enjoyed it so much. And as for my empathy call, it was also with Bill. It was a good, candid conversation where we bounced ideas off one another. I also enjoyed it, so thank you both so much.
Thank you, Raid. Jazzy and then Celine.
Hi, hello everyone. So last week, I had the body call with Michelle. It was wonderful. So we started the call with, she was very generous. She answered some questions that I had about the circle or the process in general. Then we continued with the empathetic listener. And we've actually found some commonality between us. So we actually enjoyed the call. I haven't tried an empathy circle yet. As Stephen said, it's not that I'm not interested, but haven't had a chance, if you could say, to start one on my own. But I'm actually trying to bring the practice with my colleague at work. So yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Jazzy. So Celine and then Bill.
Well, hello, everyone. I was part of the Monday Cafe, and we did some great empathy circles there. I had an enjoyable empathy buddy conversation with Martina. And I would like to remind people that if you ask either anybody in this cohort or on the email list for people willing to be in an empathy circle that you are going to run, you'll get enough people to do it. So that's a safe place to start if you're looking for a way to offer an empathy circle. And I'm happy to be here today. That's all I have to say right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Celine. So Bill and then Rasha.
Yeah, I had a great talk with Raid. Really enjoyed it. I've been doing a lot of empathy circles Monday and then Wednesday and then Thursday and Friday, empathy in schools and things like that. And yeah, I've been enjoying it all and, you know, working hard, trying to really, my focus is to try to get empathy in schools, but I'm also working with Sally and Larry and a few others on the empathy game, which is a lot of fun. So that's me. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. So and then Michelle.
Here's Francesca.
Hi. So yeah, I don't have anything major to share. I did try to connect with my empathy buddy, but unfortunately, you know, I didn't hear back, and so I couldn't have an empathy buddy call. Other than that, I also could not really do an empathy circle this week, but yeah, I will be having one on Tuesday, hopefully. So yeah, that's from me. Just very grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Rasha. So Michelle and then Francesca.
Thanks, Kathy. Yeah, I had a quiet week. I had a month of like a lot of projects, and then yeah, took a week last week. So, but I did have my empathy buddy call with Al-Jazi, and it was just, yeah, it was just gorgeous. I kind of see like the Empathy Circle like movement as being like a virtual crossroads of all of the like social good that's happening in the world, where we get this opportunity to just like stand on the side of the road and like just chat about what's happening in different parts of the world and different movements. And there's this like kind of like cross fertilization of like ideas that expands. Like I came away feeling so grateful and expanded like from it. And I feel like what's one of the quality of the people coming through that's like just it just always leaves me in awe, really. So I'm feeling really grateful to be here this week. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Michelle. Francesca and then Edwin.
Hi, yeah, so this week I didn't do an actual empathy circle per se, but I did meet with my with Graham, and we had an empathy buddy call as well as with Stephen, and yeah, it was good. It was good. It was just right now I'm really tired, so I can't even remember much about it, but yeah, I just, it was just good to connect in that way and continue practicing skills. Thank you.
Thank you, Francesca. Edwin?
Yeah, so Monday we had our open empathy cafe, intro cafe. I think we had about 40 people. So everyone's welcome to that. If you'd like to facilitate breakout circles, we've been using the fishbowl approach. We have the 40 participants or however many arrive, and then we do a 20-minute fishbowl, and that's actually worked well, meaning that just a few people can model the practice, and then afterwards we go into the breakout room. So it's been that's been a good way to handle larger crowds, larger groups because you never know how many are going to show up. It can be none to 40 or more. So also attended Lou's support group for facilitator support group yesterday, and we were using he showed a recording of an empathy circle, and then we discussed it. He would pause and then discuss it, and that was really informative. So you're saying, well, what did they do here? What did we do? Why did we do it? And kind of discuss that. I thought it was a really great format. So yeah, a lot of great stuff happening.
Great, thank you. Okay, so is it over to Rasha now?
Thank you, Kathy. So what I'll be doing is I'll address some of the questions that came up in the session feedback form. So yeah, the first question was, how do I balance enjoying facilitating with listening and timekeeping, right? All of them together. So what we have to say is it's just something that comes with practice, with a lot of practice. In fact, I mean, I was in the same, thought or mindset when I came here for the first time and I was just starting facilitation, but I'm pretty sure I've grown, with practice, and that it's just a journey. So an example is how this is something that Lou regularly shares about how facilitating an empathy circle is like driving, right? I mean, initially you really have to very consciously do things, but with practice and with time, it just comes very naturally to you. So don't worry about it. Just do, practice it a lot, and then you'll get really good at it. The second question was, can you give examples of empathy circles conducted in businesses, either for-profit or non-profit, and what were the topics and how did they go, right? So yes, we have a couple of examples, like, Edwin had done an empathy circle for the staff and physicians at a psychiatric ward in a hospital, right? But due to lack of time, they had to keep it to very short circles where people just shared whatever felt alive for them. We've had other stuff being done, like, for example, Michelle had conducted a circle for the Yoga Mandala project, right? And the topic there was trauma sensitivity, right? Especially when it comes to facilitation, and in the context of humanitarian work or in the context of spirituality. So that has been done. I've conducted a circle for Global Shapers, which is a grassroots level organization of the World Economic Forum. And the topic that we used there was limiting beliefs, right? So what I did there was, encourage them to share topics which they really want discussed, and some topics that they really wanted to discuss, and limiting beliefs was one of them, and that's how we arrived at the topic. So that's something you could do as well. Right, and we even have somebody named Kat Spence, one of the facilitators from the previous cohorts, who does a lot of work with corporates and in workplaces around self-development for professionals, and it's going really well. So yes, it is being done in a lot of places, and they all seem to be going pretty well. So yeah. And the next one, it was a comment about creating more opportunities to practice facilitating empathy circles. And I think Celine and Edwin, they all covered that point already about how a lot of us have been doing regular, cafes. The intro cafes that Edwin does, that's one place where any of you can feel welcome to join and practice facilitation. Bill does circles around empathy in education, right? How do you bring empathy circles to education? So anyone who's in that field, it'd be lovely for you to take part in Bill's circles. And then I do them on Tuesdays for the people in my network with a couple of other facilitators from previous cohorts. So feel free to, just join me. All of you are welcome to do that. Another good option would be Edwin has this email list with nearly 340 odd, people who have previously, done the facilitation training. So it'll be a good idea for you to reach out to Edwin and through him maybe connect with all these people. And so if you, like Martina said, she wants to start something, so feel free to send out an email and people will definitely respond. And so you will have enough facilitators to support you as well if you want to start your own empathy circles, right? And another point that came up was I have a hard time setting a limit, right? If I believe it may hurt someone's feeling. So this could be something that came up because of the way the process is set. There are some rules and regulations that we generally follow, right? Especially so one thing that we want to say is that more than being a limit, more than setting a limit, it's also about agreement, where we just by participating in empathy circles, we are agreeing that we're going to give each and every one in the circles equal opportunity in all senses, right? We're going to respect each other's opportunities here. So, and yes, there are times when we may have to kind of make choices which may not be taken well by certain people, and you may fear that. But again, it also depends on if you're setting a limit, or if you're saying something, then it depends on, there's a lot that goes, that comes out of the way you say it, right? Even if you're setting a limit, if you do it, or if you communicate it with care and with respect and with compassion, I'm pretty sure it will be, accepted well, right? And also remember that this is a facilitator training, right? That we're doing here in this 5-week course. It's not a regular empathy circle, right? And so because it's facilitator training, we always try to be a little more open about, give you more feedback so that you get better, because this is one place where you can make mistakes and learn from them, right? So yeah, so just wanted to put that across as well. And again, when we correct, it's not criticism, it's just because we really want you guys to be the best versions, best facilitator versions of yourselves, right? And one thing that Celine suggested that was very helpful is about how, she always mentions that she's going to interrupt somebody before she actually does, right? So these sort of very small actions which show respect, I think goes a long way when it comes to, circles. So with that, I think, we are done with the questions that came in the feedback forms. Anybody else who want to bring up something can do that, and we'll be happy to answer. If not, I'll pass on the, Linda. You're muted.
Sorry about that. This is the 5th and last session of this training. Is there another level? Is there additional training? To be a facilitator.
Oh, maybe I can. So what you do is you take the training again as a trainee. So, Rasha, see, there's a couple others here are trainees. So you will start presenting part of the training. So you can do that a few times to the point where you become a trainer. So it's just doing the training again several times and becoming a trainer of the training is sort of the next level. And we're also working on developing some other modules that will in the future, but those aren't, I don't know if that was clear, but.
When's the next one that Linda could join?
We have our Monday cohort, starts in 2 weeks. You could be a trainee there. That's cohort 13C. And then this cohort, next week, it'll be Saturdays will be open intro cafes for 10 weeks, actually. And then we'll be starting another cohort at this time slot too. So those are the two that are next. Yeah.
Thank you, Edwin, and Linda as well for the question. So if we are done, yeah, Shannon.
Just a quick question around that last part. So is it possible to join an empathy cafe and learn to be a trainer that way too? Like as a trainee, learning to be a trainer?
The intro cafes that we do like on Monday, and then it'll also next week, so I was mentioning to Vanessa, I think that next week we'll have an open intro cafe, and anyone can drop in, but you can also come and be a facilitator when we do the breakout rooms. So that's a way of sort of practicing. You can also, I think you were wanting to hold some with students or someone, I think, and so you can just hold those, and you can also, as I mentioned, put an email out to the list of 300 some odd people and say, hey, I need a couple of facilitators to help me to co-facilitate. So you can, that's another approach. Or you can just, I think Martina, she wants to host an empathy cafe series on joy. So she just sets the date and time and maybe network with each other to co-facilitate that too, or even work together on topics. Yeah, as next steps.
Thank you.
Question.
Yeah.
Is there a thing of too short of a cafe? The reason why I asked this because I like the meeting with my HR team. I introduced this to them, and I talked about doing like a 1-minute introduction section for each person to actually work the role as a listener and a speaker with an introduction of orientation. Because I work in a nonprofit in behavioral health, and one of the challenges is people are listening and being empathetic, no matter what your position is. So would that be too short, or does it have to be a long enough of time for everybody to speak?
Did you mention 1 minute for the introductions?
Well, I will do the introduction, and then everyone will get a chance to speak for a minute. Someone gets to listen. And that's kind of the rules that I will put in place, because it is a lot of things going on. But that was one way to introduce it, but also to express it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah, I would say that a large part of this is the experience. So when I do my empathy in schools, no teacher has 2 hours to do this. So the question is, can you break it up into shorter pieces and then put those pieces? In other words, will shorter exposures over time achieve the same thing that we achieve in a 2-hour empathy circle? The 2-hour empathy circle, if you can, as best you can, that's great to go with, because you're kind of like, you make sure that people get that experience. But the other thing would be to look at, like, for instance, we did it with these hospital, we did the first cohort with these people, in the medical personnel in the middle of the pandemic. So what they said is that, at shift change, we have 5 minutes. And if we just did a little reflective listening in those 5 minutes, that can make a big difference for your whole shift. So the question would be to try things like that, and then see if people felt heard or not. And, and get that feeling. That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
I can add something. It's good to maybe do one empathy circle where you have like, an hour and a half at least. So you kind of set the tone and you get sort of the practice. But then like with my partner, sometimes we just have quick, you come up with an argument, you say, oh, let's do a little bit of empathic listening. So it's really quite scalable to just even start doing it just on your own, integrated, where you're not even really doing an empathy circle. You're just using empathic listening in a subtle way. So it's totally sort of scalable, but it's good to have at least an hour and a half, one intro, so you kind of get familiar with it and practice it, and have done several rounds. But it is very sort of scalable in that sense in terms of time.
Thank you. Yes, I like that.
Thank you, Kevin. And I think Edwin and Bill, I think your the fishbowl sort of the technique that you follow, maybe to introduce empathy circles to people, that could also be something you could do when you're short on time, right? Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'll pass on the facilitation to Bill. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so this is going to be just a regular empathy circle. There won't be any challenges, no how-to. And the topics are, what are your most valuable learnings and benefits from this training? What are your next steps with applying empathy circles and building a culture of empathy? Or of course, whatever is alive for you. And let's see. And of course, Edwin already beat me to the punch and pasted it in there. I was about to do that. So that's the circle. And I will, who do I pass it to? Oh, now we're ready to go into the breakout rooms. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
thanks, Bill. We'll have an hour and 15 minutes, and then we'll have 45 minutes to debrief. We'll go through a couple of questions. These groups will be a little bit larger, 5. We'll be doing 3 groups with 5 in each one, and one group will be with 6 with Russia. And that's because Russia's on call here waiting. Someone's going to be coming to the airport. She might have to drop out to pick up her relatives. So it would be Celine facilitate, and Michelle and Bill will be with Michelle, and then I'll be with you, Russia, sort of back up. So let me open the rooms and see you there. And we'll be staying here in the weight room, our group, Russia.
Do we select 1, 2, or 3? Mine says join.
No, you're here with us. There's
Oh, gotcha.
6 in the.
Gotcha.
So there's 6 of us in this room, so we'll
Right.
just stay here.
All right, hello. So glad to have you all here. And so this time it's going to be plain and simple. It's going to be empathy circles, a regular one where you can feel free to talk about valuable learnings and benefits from the training, or you can talk about next steps in applying empathy circles, like what do you want to do with the empathy circles outside and contribute to building a culture of empathy, or as usual, whatever is alive for you as well. So because we are a larger group, let's take 4 minutes each to speak. And so yeah, I can volunteer to be the listener. So would any of you like to start speaking?
I'll start. That's something. So yeah, I started putting, on the LinkedIn events for this. I've been calling this the best empathy training. So I've been getting very, enthusiastic about this is really the best, the empathy circle and the empathy circle training is really the best way to get started with empathy circles. So I've been a bit enthusiastic about it.
Right, Edwin. So I hear you say that you had created a post on LinkedIn for this cohort for the Empathy Circle Facilitation Training, and it's been gaining a lot of traction. So you're feeling pretty enthusiastic, and you feel this is the best way to get empathy circles out in the world. Yeah.
It's more that I've been calling it the best training. It's like not being shy about it, right? It's like. And Lou says, "Oh, I don't like that. It sounds competitive." I say, "No, it's coming from deep inside. I really think this is the best training out there. This is the most effective, approach. I want to say it, And I've been even thinking of offering $1,000 if somebody could prove that they have a better first step gateway practice." So I'm just getting very, I don't know if it's enthusiastic or whatever it is about it. So I'm just, yeah.
All right. So what you meant is that you've been saying in your LinkedIn, group that this is the best training there is for an entry level sort of empathy practice. And so Lou is not not particularly fond of the idea, but you feel that it's coming from your heart. I mean, you really do think that this is the best way or the best sort of introductory empathy practice. And you've even been thinking of giving somebody $1,000 if they come up, they should come and show you something that works even better than the empathy circle.
Exactly. I thought I'd put a post out there, like Facebook, LinkedIn. This is the best, and if you can prove to me that it's not, you get $1,000. Just to create. And Lou is kind of like, oh, that's too competitive. It's like it's bringing competition in, but so what? It's like so anyway. I'm just kind of playing with it. I just wanted to share it here because I was just kind of wanting to get people's reactions to it. And I have posted before about this, sort of, and it upsets some people because the competitive nature of it, like, empathy is not competitive. So I'm just kind of putting it out there to see sort of how it lands with people.
All right. So you're once again saying how, you'd really like to send a post or something on LinkedIn and Facebook that says, if people can show you a better way of introducing empathy, then you'll give them $1,000. And Lou is not very fond of the competitive nature that kind of gets out from that message. Yeah, I think that's what you were saying.
Yeah, that's the essence of it. And then to go through why, I'm starting to start articulating why I think it's the best. For example, I don't know how my time is here, but I talked to a psychiatrist at that hospital. He's like, it was not just a psychiatric hospital; it was a full-blown health safety net hospital. And he says that in psychiatry, they don't teach how to do empathy. I mean, pretty much. It's like he said, there's no practical ways. It's like, hey, empathy is important. You're kind of on your own. And he just saw that this was a really practical, practice of it. It's like weightlifting. You can, with your muscles, if you don't practice, you're not going to build up your muscles. And talking about it, it doesn't build up your muscles. So one of the benefits is this is a real practical way of learning empathy. Yeah.
All right. So you're talking about this experience of having had a discussion with a psychiatrist in the hospital where you did the empathy circles. And so you feel this is a very effective way of kind of introducing the process. I'm very sorry, but I kind of, got a little bit distracted because my dad's been calling and I think they might have arrived. So I'll need you to be my backup, Edwin, just for a couple of minutes.
Rasha,
yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be back in a bit. Yeah.
Okay. So, whoever wants to go next could jump in. Just maybe select, since Rasha is not there, if someone else wants to speak and select, I guess I'll unless somebody has the time. Does somebody have a clock handy? So you want to keep time, 4 minutes. Turns, Kathy. So whoever would like to start, select your speaker. Yeah.
Okay, I'll speak. I haven't.
4 minute turns. Yeah.
I think I spoke to everybody. Kathy, do you mind listening?
You're muted, Kathy.
Listening.
Okay. So I guess I'm going to take on this topic of the value. I really appreciate the value of the Empathy Circle and what it brings. One of my next steps is to take more time to dive into everything that's on that website. It's a lot there, and I feel like I haven't really took smaller steps and smaller chunks to really embrace it in myself.
So you're really loving the empathy circles, and so you want to learn more about it by going to the website and seeing everything that's there and going through it.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of stuff there, and I feel like I was, reaching as we were going through the trainings. But one of the challenges here lately, another situation is time. for everything. I feel as though, we've been in COVID, but see, like, time in one session stands still, but on other parts, it moves so quickly.
Yeah. So you're really struggling with how to balance everything and make time for the things that you want. And COVID especially has put a strain on your time, it sounds like.
Yeah. But not exactly a strain. I actually thought it would make it easier being at home, managing things differently, but literally just opened up a whole nother clock on what people expect from you, even to being at home versus being in the office.
Right. So you thought things would slow down with COVID, but that hasn't proven to be the case for you.
Right. There's like a different set of issues that came from time. And so I'm looking to, again, to dive into hopefully the Empathy Circle, take another class, or to get more aware of this experience, to be more involved, to be exposed again, like running track. I ran it the first time. Let's go ahead and run another lap and see if it still feels the same, or have I picked up a better endurance?
Okay. So you want to keep practicing, and it's like running track. You have to keep doing it. And so you're ready to build up your endurance.
Yes. Yes. So that's one of the things I want to do. Like I mentioned earlier, I was thinking about introducing this part of orientation, but I got to rethink that now in reference to being fair to people who are just newly coming on to the employment as a way of teaching empathy listening, or the Empathy Circle.
So you have these ideas for how to bring it to your workplace, and you want to make sure you're fair and you expose the new people to it also.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, that's been what I've really been thinking about, like how to incorporate this event, this process more intuitively throughout. Like I said, I work in mental health, behavioral health, and one of the things that I think a lot of times happening is people are not listening, they're reacting. So that becomes why, in my line of work, why so many people get in trouble.
Yeah. So in the line of work that you're in, it's even more important to practice empathy so that you can help people stay out of trouble.
Yes, definitely. So I'm definitely looking to embrace this more. And again, that secondary topic is time. Everyone is so stuck in their boxes. How do we improve situations by adding another box in, or incorporate this into that box that they're already stuck in? And it's amazing me. I think when Ed was testing it earlier, I'm working with doctors, psychiatrists, therapists, different people working with individuals, and they really, it's amazing. They haven't learned to listen, even though they have went to school, but not in this type of way. So
yeah. So your wheels are turning. How are you going to make this happen for everybody, especially all the different types of people you have in your organization?
Yes, thank you. I feel hurt.
Okay, great. Thank you. Oh.
I'm sorry.
No, I share some of the same issues. So let's see. Shannon, you share some of the same issues, so I'll ask you to be my listener. You're on mute. Yeah, there you go.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just talk about myself being challenged first. So how am I challenged? I know I have challenges around all of this, even though it's part of my profession also to listen and empathize. So one of the things, speaking of time, is balancing having fun, because I know if I don't have fun in my life, there's no way I can have a full cup and be there for others.
So Kathy, I heard you, you were just talking about, well, before you got started, it sounded like you resonated with a lot of what Kevin had said. And so we needing to take a deep breath and realizing that even though you are in fact part of the profession of being a therapist or in the mental health field, that you notice yourself being challenged with this practice sometimes. And part of it is is it requires a sense of balance, I think you were getting at, and it requires time. Yeah.
I have to take care of myself in order to be there for others. And there's so much I want to do. So sometimes it doesn't leave time for fun. And with COVID, having fun has been a challenge also. So, but one thing I can do is add exercise to my life, because with COVID, exercise has just gone out the window.
So I hear you kind of expanding on that idea of balance, that in order to be there for others, it's vital to kind of take care of yourself. And you were linking that specifically, like your self-care route of choice has been exercise, and you unfortunately haven't had the chance to do a lot of that with COVID.
It's more like I haven't made the time.
Got it. Okay.
There's been a lot of my habits slipping. And I have to figure out what's the root cause of that, because there's something going on. I'm just not sure what it is. Yeah.
So you corrected me and said it's more about finding time. And then you're saying that not only exercise, but other habits have been slipping, and you're kind of trying to figure out why that might be.
I think it's making the time. So I'm not making the time. And my sleep schedule is off. I'm staying up reading because I had this goal of reading 120 books. And I've only got like, I think 40 left. So that has been taking over my life, because once I start something, I can't stop until I'm finished.
So part of the struggle with this is the difficulty in like making the time. And part of the thing you're coming up against is like prior commitments of reading these 120 books and feeling like you're in the middle of that and struggling with wanting to finish the last 40.
And I know I might as well give up trying to do something else until this is finished. I know myself. So I'm only buying enough books to read reasonably and not have them all stack up again.
So you didn't use these exact words, but I think you're saying that you're trying to pace yourself a little bit more. Maybe only buying the books that you definitely want to read and not overbuying so that it feels overwhelming.
Yes. Yeah. These books I've had for like 2 or 3 years, right? I keep giving away books. And I decided I'm not giving away books until I read them. So that's what brought me to this commitment that I made. And I'm almost there, but I'm not making this kind of commitment again, where I've got myself, leaving out fun.
Right. So you're kind of reflecting on this commitment that you made to read the 120 and kind of not wanting to do that to yourself going forward, because it sounds a little burdensome maybe.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now you get to choose somebody to listen to you, Shannon.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Stephen, would you be my listener?
Absolutely. Listening.
Yes. So I'm taking in the last 3 shares. And I'm sort of kind of reflecting on all 3 of them in tandem, I think. And this idea of, well, first of all, I think that the boundaries that are set up by empathy circles are so important. And I do think that this is the best empathy training that I know of, because there's really important boundaries set up so that people that don't usually empathize, or they can't be empathized with, are able to have that experience.
Yeah, you're agreeing that this is the best empathy training that you've seen, and that what makes it so is very clear boundaries that support the learning, support the whole experience. I want to make sure I got that last part, which is that you think there are some people who don't normally get empathy, or who it's very difficult for people to empathize with them. These guidelines that we operate under makes it possible for even those most difficult people to be heard.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thank you, Stephen. And yeah, some people, the way it's not, there's no value judgment on it. It's not good or bad, but it's just the way they operate in the world might make it difficult both for them to give and receive empathy. And that's hard. That makes it more difficult for certain, I think, for certain people, or, for me at certain times in my life, for example, I think we all go through that sometimes where it's difficult to receive and give a sense of understanding, and yet it's so important. So,
so there's people in the world whose, I don't know, you didn't say this, but whose personality or their way of being makes it very difficult for them either to give or receive empathy. And he went on to say that it's probably true for all of us at different times in our lives, just based upon what's going on, that it doesn't make it easy. And so these guidelines really serve us.
yeah. And I'm trying to put this idea together, but it's like it's without having some parameters or a time limit or a frame that it's difficult to know how to empathize. And so having that, whether it be a therapy hour or a few minutes in a group or whatever the case may be, people are able to have, I feel like, a more transformative experience.
So there's something about the structure that makes a container, it makes it easier to hold the whole thing and offer people a deeper opportunity at something really worthwhile.
Yeah. And I think that kind of reminds me of what Kathy was saying with the balance of being able to have the balance. And so that's my last kind of idea about that. But
something about that structure also creates the balance that you heard Kathy talking about.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. So I guess it's my turn to choose a listener. Let me just get gallery feedback on. Okay. Edwin, would you be my listener?
Mm-hmm. Listening.
Okay, great. Whew, man, I tell you, my mind is racing. I was surprised that I could listen to Shannon and be accurate. My mind's been racing all morning, and it's racing now. And it's very difficult for me to focus. So I'll just start there.
So I'm hearing your mind is racing. It's been racing all morning, and it's difficult to focus. It was even, sounds like challenging to listen to Shannon because of that racing mind.
Yeah, actually having the structure she was talking about, which is it's my turn to listen, helped me actually really focus. Plus I put her on, I pinned her image so I didn't have to look at all the rest of you, and that helps. Not that there's anything wrong with you guys, but gives me less stimulus.
So to help focus, you put her on speaker view, as well as the structure of the circle is helping you focus as well. So you're sound like it was even a little bit humorous that the structure was help. Here was an example of the structure helping.
Yeah, really synchronistic there. I have a really important thing coming up on Tuesday, and all of my preparations for that, I think, are what my mind is mostly racing to. I'm eager to get to Tuesday, which is really kind of, yeah, I like being eager, and also it is contributing to difficulty making it, helping me be present.
So you sound like you have a big project or something you're presenting on Tuesday, and that's, you're really maybe causing anxiety, and, to kind of prepare for that. All your consciousness is sort of focused on that. A lot of your consciousness.
Yeah. It's actually not a presentation, but it's a transformative experience that I'm going to be doing. So I just wanted to.
So it's a transformative experience, not a presentation. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm super eager to be able to focus on becoming a better empathy circle facilitator, or really just, facilitating empathy circles. And I've been so scattered. I know I've missed 2 or 3 very clear communications about what I can do next, and I've missed them all, but I'm so eager to get that back. So actually, I don't know when or how, but I want to get the information again of what opportunities are available next. I do remember, of course, that we can take this class over again and be a trainee, facilitator trainee. And but there were also people who said, you can do this, you can do that. So I want to kind of go back and pick that up if I can.
So you've missed some of the next steps that you can take, and you do want to continue with the empathy circle, and you need to kind of go back and hear what the next options are.
Right. I know Rasha said something, Celine said something. You said more than what I just said. So yeah, my mind is so scattered. It's really, I'm watching it be scattered while it's being scattered. So
yeah, your mind is like really scattered, and part of your awareness is watching your scattered mind. Time.
That's my time.
Okay,
Thank God.
great.
Okay.
Yeah, thank God it's over.
Yay.
Yay. Kevin, can I speak to you?
Yes, Evan.
Yeah, I was really interested in bringing the empathy circle sort of into an organization, and how do you do that when people are pressed for time? And I would say on one sense, it's like you don't have time not to do it, in the sense that if you have incorporated this in an organization, in the long term, it will save a lot of time.
That's what I'm hearing. You're interested in how to incorporate this into a nonprofit. One of the things, though, is speak about time, but at the end of the day, it's very important. How do you not make time for it? Because it will save a lot at the end. So it's important to incorporate it. It's just managing it.
Yeah, it's like Stephen Covey, the leadership, coach, well known. He says basically, it's better to go and solve these problems to begin with, basically with empathy, than let them go down the road, and then you got to clean up the mess, because that happens in so many organizations. Some conflict comes up, it gets swept under the rug, but it just drags on. And in the long term, you're just, a huge amount of time is just sucked, with these unresolved, unaddressed conflicts. So if you have like empathy to begin with, you're going to head off some of the conflicts and have the tools for working them through. So there's a long-term benefit, I think, there.
You speak about how Stephen Covey's approach to empathy in reference to the challenges that an organization go through, where issues come up, they sweep them under the rug, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you have to deal with more and more time to apply empathy. If you would have done it early on, you would have had a better opportunity to make a better change to the organization. So why not do this? And I know I'm misquoting one piece, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Yeah, I feel very heard there. And then, so it's like how to implement it into an organization. And that's sort of the challenge. Nobody's familiar with it. How do you bring it in? What are the steps? And so there is a challenge because, ideally we would have, Biden and, all the politicians model it. And then everybody say, hey, we can do it too, because the top people are doing it. Or Oprah Winfrey, if she were doing it, an empathy circle, then people would understand it. So we need to work at the grassroots, and I'm seeing the high level political to model it, to that would sort of help to bring it into organizations, because they would say, hey, the top leaders are doing it, we can do it too.
Right. So you speak about in reference to the help aspect, in reference to not only the grassroots, but leadership in reference to the various levels that they were doing it, like Biden and Harris and so forth, that they were showing it, Republicans and Democrats and so forth were doing the same thing. Other nonprofits would say, hey, they're doing it, we can do it. And it would be that trickle down effect, which even for nonprofits, but one of the things is making that happen with Empathy Circle, and just, for organizations, again, seeing it up high, so it comes down to every level across the board in reference to how to be empathic.
Exactly. And so we need to sort of develop strategies, how to bring it in, find the loopholes to bring it into a organization. Maybe one of it is if the CEO and some of the work, staff get together and have a recorded empathy circle, so everyone can see it, like, oh, the CEO is doing it, so it's important. And it's been recorded and everybody can go and check it out, So that could be one strategy. There's this, okay, yeah, in there.
Okay. So one thing, can I reflect back? Or?
Yeah, just reflect that last part.
One thing you're talking about is different strategies. And one strategy is to have the CEO also mimic it or do the actual empathy circle and use technology to record it, so that it can be a playback and a loop for other people to see it being done. And that hopefully would give one strategy to trickle down to everyone seeing it.
Yep,
leadership first.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Thank you.
I feel fully heard. Thank
So my turn. Who's turn? Is it my turn to pick someone again? I always get that order mixed up. Okay.
You're the speaker.
Okay. Rashad, am I messing the name up? You mind listening? Yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
I'd love to be a listener. Yeah.
I guess I'm piggybacking on what I piggyback on that Edwin's piggyback on everyone else has in this structure or strategies. How to make strategies happen with an organization that everyone feels as though they don't have time to do it, because time seems to dictate a lot of things when it comes to organization improvement and development. They speak the word, talk it, but when it's time to do it, no one's available.
Yeah, so Kevin, what I hear you say is that you're piggybacking on what Edwin was saying and the others. So about structure and bringing this into organizations. And so what you're saying is one of the things that we see is with organizations, they don't have time, right? So they don't have time. And okay, I think I missed out the last bit.
Okay. So, no, great. And one of the important things is, even though an organization may say they don't have time, the importance of what it will benefit the organization, I guess, as being a leader, a coach, an inspiration person for this, is to express that. And I guess I'm thinking, what Evan said in reference to getting from the top down, I think I have an organization that's open, since I'm in position to kind of dictate things on one level, so to push it through. So I'm really I'm enjoying the suggestions of strategy to be appropriate for this.
Right. Okay, I hear you say that you're kind of enjoying these discussions and strategies because you are in a position where you can kind of trickle down, at least a level this. And so as a coach, leader, people in these positions, I think it would be a good way to bring empathy into organizational settings. And so,
I think, going back to that whole time aspect, it's like everyone here, or at least with me, time for the last 72 hours has really been something of interesting, because with me, it's with my kids in school starting, and you get one thing that it's a full day, and then you get a last minute notice, a half day, and then we had this hurricane. I'm sorry to change the subject, but
okay, so you're coming back to the time factor, and I remember one of the things that you were saying initially, I think a while back, is about how in organizations people always talk about doing things, but when it comes to action, it just doesn't get done. And right now you were talking about how the last 72 hours has been pretty interesting for you, because it's time for your kids to go back to school. And so you hear about so you were informed that it's going to be a whole day of school, but then it became half day. And so I think something around the hurricane that's hitting parts of the US.
So that, interesting when I try to marry these two of time and structure, time and strategy. I'm sitting here now looking at the screen, but even more so, I'm focusing on this keyboard. Like, how do I make this make sense as I push every button as it relates to time, strategy, and empathy? Understanding that what was struggling for me or challenging probably was struggling for someone else as well. And there's not a keystroke, it's actually making words. And that's me in my head again.
Wow, okay. So what you're saying is you're using the analogy of a keyboard, right? Where you're talking about time, strategy, and empathy, and how to bring it together. So it's not just about pressing like keys. It's about bringing all of them together. Like, so creating a word, and that's what you compare with, bringing all of this together: time, strategy, and empathy.
Yes. So it's like, so I guess that's one of the things another thing of learning to go away with, to bring that word cohesively together so everyone can embrace it. Because you say a new word, empathy. We talk about time, which is the old narrative of I don't have it, but I need to make it happen. And teaching that listening, but also being receptive, which I really appreciate. One of the things that Shannon was saying in reference to receiving and giving understanding, I think was very powerful. It was the word that she brought through.
Okay, so so one of the key takeaways for you will be like, how do you cohesively bring all of this together, like structure and strategy and empathy, right? And there is always this discussion of how there is just not enough time. So, but you still have to somehow push and find ways to kind of do this, right? And you were also pretty touched by what Shannon was talking about I think receiving, giving, and understanding, especially when it comes to time. So yeah, that's also a takeaway for you.
I fully heard. Thank you. And my apologies for my chunks and chunks and chunks.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, so from me, because I missed out a bit of time, anyone who hasn't spoken in a bit, I would love to choose you as a listener. Or if not, Shannon? Yeah.
I'm happy to listen, yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay. I'm just wondering what all I missed, because I can see that there were chunks of discussion, like very valuable discussion that I kind of missed. But I love this topic of getting empathy into organizations. I was working as a corporate employee for a long time before I really stepped out of it and started like my work around empathy, right? So it is something that is very close to my heart. So I'm glad that this topic has come up.
So I hear you saying you're trying to kind of get your bearings because you had to step out, but you really appreciate what you can gather of the discussion that we're talking about bringing empathy into organizations, and coming from a corporate environment, like you happen to have a lot of experience with that.
Interest more than experience. I think interest, on this. And so Yeah, I was just thinking about this I mean, what Edwin was talking about, how do we really get it into organizations? And so I'm planning to do my PhD, maybe not immediately, but I think Shannon, you already know about it. We've had this discussion before. So in the, maybe in a year or two. And so one of the things that I've been, thinking about focusing on is how does reflective empathy, especially in the relationship between a manager and an employee, right? How can you kind of bring this into that relationship? Like, because one of studies are clear that, employees usually leave organizations because of managers more than, any other factor. It's a known fact. And so how do you kind of bring this aspect into an employee-manager relationship? Yeah.
Yeah, so you were kind of reframing a little bit and saying that not so much experience, but more interest, and you're interested in this topic, and maybe that's, well, I'm kind of adding this, but perhaps that's part of what's inspired, like you pursuing this big goal of applying for a PhD within the next year, which is a big journey to be starting, and reflecting on how much empathy circles or empathy can contribute to the relationship or dynamic between manager and employee, because those relations tend to be the top reason why people resign.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so other than that, again, I'll just go back to the topic for a bit about what are your most valuable learnings and benefits from this training. So for me, this round of being a trainer gave me a lot of learnings, right? And one of them is a realization that I'm really not, I really have trouble when it comes to doing the challenges bit as a trainer. Like, even though I know it's for the welfare of, or it's for the good of the people in the group, but I do feel that it was a little difficult for me this time to showcase challenges, because I felt people came with the need to very to share and to connect, and and somehow the challenges were being a little sort of.
Yeah, so you were going back to the valuable learnings and recognize there's been a lot of them, but you zeroed in on this kind of struggle to do challenges or to give challenges, because there's a little bit of a conflict, because you I guess empathize with people's need to feel heard and come with things to talk about, and then maybe challenges kind of conflicts with that.
Yeah, and more than me expecting that, it's because I could see that people really, because there were conversations that began about very things that are very deep to them, and having to give a challenge in the middle of that was a tiny bit of a challenge. But so this was a good learning on how best you can handle it for me.
Yeah, so you were emphasizing that you could really see there was a need there to be heard, and so that giving challenges was a bit of a struggle, in light of that you're recognizing that people had a need to feel heard in those moments. So
yeah, one more bit that I would like to get as reflection, and that's that and this training this time around, this cohort really helped me find a couple of ways to work around that, and really so it got me thinking on these sort of, like, how do you give feedback in the best way, so that, and how do you kind of make sure that people are comfortable even when challenges need to be given. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll just reflect that last bit if I can. So you were just emphasizing this cohort especially kind of gave you an opportunity to practice giving feedback in a way that was helpful.
Yeah,
I hope
I feel better.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure. So let's see, Kathy, would you be my listener?
Yes, I'm listening. Let me just start the timer.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's interesting transitioning from listening and taking in to, to then talking. I was recognize that as a little bit of a struggle sometimes for me. It's two totally different modes of operating. So
you're noticing it's a bit of a struggle to move from giving empathy to receiving empathy.
And what I'm aware of, the most valuable learnings is I think sometimes it can be difficult to trust that, and I think this is true for more people than just me, but to trust that, like, in communicating one's truth, the other person's going to be able to survive it, whatever it is that I can say really deeply on my mind, and the listener will be okay. And one of the most valuable things, I think, for me personally about this training is having that experience of getting in contact with what's authentically true and having that be okay, kind of repeatedly.
So you're enjoying that you get listened to, but you're also torn because you're wondering if the listener is really able to take this in, or maybe it's a little bit too much for them.
Well, I think mainly just seeing that it is, like, observing that it's that we're all practicing active listening, and we're able to pretty much take in each other's truths and then kind of reflect them back. And it might sound simple, but at the end of the day, I think it helps people feel like it's okay for me to be aware of my truth, and it's okay to let people know of it. And I think there can be a lot of fear around that in society sometimes. And a lot of barriers that we put up, like within ourselves and with other people, to like put obstacles up to that process.
So I want to make sure I get this. You're aware that it can be difficult to share ourselves, and we put some barriers up. And it feels good to be listened to and to be able to share yourself, and for other people to be able to do that also.
Yeah. And I can really see how, I think it over time, I think what I'm talking about is more of a personal relationship with oneself, but I can see how when applied to an organization, it could just radically shift things, and people's kind of relationships with one another.
So you see the shift this has for you when you're practicing one-on-one with people, and you can imagine the power this might have if an organization adopted it, how that would really foster some deeper relationships.
Yeah. It makes me think of what Rasha was talking about with managers and employees, and especially when there's power dynamics. I think this is a way, I don't know the right way to say this, but it's almost a way not to even the field, because maybe that's not even valuable, but just to communicate clearly without obstruction.
So I'll finish reflecting. You see the value in the communication this would foster between employees, especially manager and whoever they supervise, and how there might be some clarity in using this in communication.
Exactly. Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, you're welcome. Let me take this off of speaker view. I got the idea from you, Stephen, to put it on speaker view. It does help listen. Oh, okay. Kevin, would you be willing to listen? I don't think you've listened to me. I've listened to you, right?
Yes, I would love to listen to you.
Okay,
Jen.
great. All right. Let me just set the time. So yeah, I noticed I was a bit distracted also, and Stephen mentioning that he used the speaker view was much better. So yeah, I'm definitely going to use that going forward. So yeah, I went to bed last night feeling kind of uneasy, and I'm not sure why.
So within the session here, you were unfocused as well, and Stephen brought up a great suggestion with the focus view, just narrowing down the view so you can really focus on who is speaking, which seems to be a great idea that you utilize. And then realizing that, you went to sleep last night, a little uneasy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just so weird because I went on a retreat last week, but I was alone. So maybe I need to be with people and have some fun, but it's hard to do that, especially right now. So I'm just thinking, what do I need to do?
So you just recently went on a retreat last week. You went alone, which is very interesting. But you noticed that being alone, you may need to rethink that. How do you go with other people and how to have fun? But the challenge is where we are right now in this season. But you want to figure out how to make that happen because you think that's something that will work for you.
Yeah. Even if I actually enjoy COVID because I don't have to get out with people because I'm such an introvert. And I like Zoom because I feel like I'm protected on Zoom for some reason. So, but I have to figure out how to have fun. And I do have friends. It's not like I don't have friends. So yeah.
So in reference to COVID, it did bring some safety for you because you're an introvert. In reference to the safety that Teams allows and the visual preference, but you still feel as though you need to get out to have some fun, to enjoy other parts of life that the team won't allow for you. But again, being an introvert, that's something you're navigating with.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, life is so odd because one day you can be so happy and the next day you realize, okay, there's something that needs to shift. What is it? So that just boggles my mind.
So you're reflecting on life that it has can be so straightforward in one way, but then it can be so odd. And it just boggles your mind how in a minute it could just shift.
Yes. Yeah. Thank goodness I practice mindfulness because I'm able to make sure my shifts, or not every single time, but really work on my shifts not affecting me or other people. So, yeah.
Okay, so one thing you lean on is that you practice mindfulness, so it helps you to mitigate or manage your own shifting and also making sure it doesn't affect other people as they shift. So that mindfulness technique is very an important tool that you have for yourself as well as everyone around you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I wish I was like peaceful all the time and I never offended anybody. No words came out of my mouth that might be taken wrong. I wish I just was perfect in that way. And that even if somebody rubbed me the wrong way, that it wouldn't matter to me. I would still be able to be peaceful with them. And that was my time. So.
Okay. So I'm just reflecting back, you're wishing for a peacefulness, a calmness that happen all the time if possible, so that the world and everyone around you won't be as affected and you won't be affected by it, and you're able to bring peace to everyone along with embracing peace for yourself.
Yes.
I hope I got it right.
Close enough. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, so now you get to choose a speaker.
Okay. Stephen, how you feeling?
I feel fine. Thank you.
You feel like listening?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm listening. Gonna put you on speaker view. There you go.
I guess what I'm thinking about now is in reference to multitasking. For myself, again, I gave the analogy earlier of the keyboard, and I look at the keyboard as tasks, chores, or things I need to do. And it's surprisingly, the keyboard is my focus, and I need to shift that, because on the keyboard, for some reason, I put my family as the numbers, and that's the smaller part of the keyboard, which I think I'm not giving enough to them.
Your mind is turned to multitasking now, the idea about multitasking. And you're talking about this metaphor you've created for yourself, which is this keyboard. And, you know, the keyboard's all the stuff that you have to do. And you're noticing that your family, you've put up on the numbers, which is, you know, or over on the numbers, whatever your keyboard looks like. And it's the smallest part of the keyboard. And you're looking at that. You're not so sure about that decision you've made, or not even a decision, just what you've done.
Right. And I just noticed that with the matrix of things on time, that I have to find a way to give more to them with more emphasis, which I think I do. I would like to, like, sometimes I feel like I'm missing some things. Like I said, maybe more of a me, because even my 5-year-old daughter tells me to go away sometimes.
I didn't hear the last thing you said about going away sometimes. Would you just say that again?
My 5-year-old daughter tells me to go away sometimes.
Oh, 5-year-old daughter, got it. Yeah. You give your family time, but you're really thinking you need to give them some more time. And it's kind of odd because your 5-year-old tells you to go away. You'd like to give her more time, but sometimes she tells you to go away. Did I get that right?
Yes. So you know, again, time management, balancing things. You know, I look at it with my family. This experience of learning between, you know, I use the metaphor, the key for the job and other things I need to do, the numbers surrounding it and to the side are for the family. But I find myself not always as empathetically present for everything I think I need to be there for. So it's like just getting it done.
You're really thinking about balance and how you would like to be able to give the right amount of empathy to everybody and everything that you're doing. And I think you're saying you're not quite where you want to be with that.
All right. Yes. I think one of the things from Empathy Circle has helped me to, I guess, to refocus a little bit or to make adjustments for things that I thought I was doing well. But at the end of the day, I think I was being more reactive than empathetic. Like, you know, I'm in a position where I need to solve the problem.
The empathy circle is making you understand that, or helping you understand that you thought you were doing everything okay, but maybe you're needing to be more empathetic than what you have been. And I think you were saying that you have favored just kind of getting things done, and you're talking about balancing over with listening better and doing, you know, practicing empathy more than just getting things done, that balance.
I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So let's see, it's my turn to be the speaker.
Back to the
right?
big session. Is that accurate?
We have 15 minutes.
Oh, great.
All right, let's see. Rasha, would you listen to me?
Sure, Stephen. I'd love to.
I would really love to use this turn to get clear on what I was asking before and missing. So maybe I don't really know how this fits with the actual structure where I'm just saying things and you're repeating them. I'm actually curious about information. So I guess I'll ask you, Rasha, is that something that I can do with my turn, is ask you for information?
Okay, outside of the circle, it's a question that you wanted to check with me?
Right now, if I can, in this turn, ask you for information.
I think it's when your turn to speak is when you generally kind of, put out any questions or anything you have. Usually in,
Okay.
if you're trying to follow the process, then I'll just be repeating whatever you say.
Okay.
But maybe we can have like a small debrief of, around 7 to 8 minutes at the end, Kathy. If that's doable, then maybe I think that we can use that time to maybe clear out any questions that you have.
Okay. Is there anybody who that would not work for? If we take 7 minutes, that would be like at 11:42. So we'd have a couple of minutes for like maybe just this. This would be our final speaker listener. Is there anybody who that would not work for? Okay. Go ahead.
All right, great. Well, let's see. I was irritated there for a minute, and then I thought we handled that pretty well.
I hear you
That's
say,
the first piece you can reflect. Yep.
I hear you say, Stephen, that you were irritated there for a minute, but then I don't know whether it was me or you said somebody handled it well. Yeah.
We all handled it. You
Yeah.
and Kathy and me handled it
All
well, I
right.
thought.
So you think you, me, and Kathy, we handled that well? Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that collaborative decision making. Dang, I just don't have anything new to say. I feel like I just will be repeating myself from the last turn of how distracted and physically uncomfortable I feel. Yeah.
Right. I hear you say that you don't have anything new to share, because if you did, you feel that you would be just repeating what you have already said earlier. I also remember you saying that you're very appreciative of how we handled what happened earlier.
Right, yeah, right. Let me just check in and see what's alive. I find myself craving to go on a bike ride. I ride almost every day. It's I've talked about it before in here, actually. I think that it's practice I use for my well-being, and I'm a little bit addicted to it. So I'm like having this urge for exercise. And also when I'm real scattered like this, exercising really hard just helps me so much. It helps my body balance. So I find myself craving to get on my bike and go ride real hard. It's great. It's my time.
Stephen, so what I hear you say is that you're craving for a bike ride. I mean, you go for bike rides almost every day, and you've spoken about this before. You think you've spoken about this before as well in our circles, and yeah, especially when you're in, you feel that right now you're in the scattered state of mind, and in situations like that, you really enjoy and crave going for bike rides. So yeah, you're thinking about that now.
Thank you. I feel well heard.
Great.
Thank you.
So shall we start the question process? Stephen, do you want to begin?
Sounds great. Okay. Will someone recap for me the next steps that I could take to continue training myself to be an empathy circle facilitator? I don't
respond to that.
Yeah.
So with the training, you take the training once. Now as a participant, you can take it again. So we have the next cohort starts September 20th on a Monday. And then this cohort will repeat in about 10 weeks. We'll start another cohort in this time slot. So you can take the training again as a participant. I'll be mentioning this actually in the full group too.
Oh,
and
okay.
then you can also take it as a trainee, which means that you take on the role like Rasha and others have been doing, where you actually start presenting part of the training and you get practice. You can do that multiple times. Some people do it 3-4 times. So they're just, Michelle's done it quite a few times, to the point where you feel comfortable that you can train others. You can become a trainer of the practice. So you move from being a participant to a trainee to a trainer. And then we're also, and then you can hold your own empathy circles, and then you're getting, just on your own on any topics. And then we're also going to be developing some other modules that will sort of be advanced, like empathy circles for conflict mediation, how to hold an empathy cafe, how to go deeper in the listening, and so forth. So there's a lot of other projects, and so you can join a design team. So we have a group that's meeting on Wednesdays right now to help design the training, to create more modules. So yeah, those are just some of the ways to take the next steps.
Great. Can I ask a follow-up question? So like Rasha, you've told me you hold this empathy circle every couple of weeks or whatever. And if I'm not mistaken, it's an opportunity I might have to join in and help and facilitate a breakout room there. And then that sort of thing's also available. Some other empathy circles that are going around. I don't know if Celine said that's true for her, and Bill, I don't remember, but basically that's another way to do it with people that already have empathy circles going that need assistance with facilitating. That's correct?
That's right. That's correct. Like, so
Okay.
there are a lot of people who have been through this facilitator training before in previous cohorts, who now just hold, empathy circles on their own. So some of them lead an empathy circle on their own. There are others who kind of collaborate with others in previous cohorts. So the one that I do is in collaboration with a couple of people, 3-4 others. Right, Graham joins me very regularly, and a couple of others from previous cohorts. So we together kind of do it. We just invite people from our respective networks, and and it's just a good way. So we started this. It was right after, I think, 1 or 2 cohorts that we had all been together for, and then because it was pandemic, like the second wave in India, and things were really bad, and people needed a space to kind of just come and feel heard. So what we do is we just offer them that space. People come, we just do circles in breakout rooms. It's fairly simple, So a lot of people do it in different topics,
Maybe I could add to that. For example, Michelle held an empathy cafe on trauma, on the topic of trauma. And then she put out a call to the email list, and 10 people showed up to facilitate breakout circles. I think Shannon, once you were saying you wanted to hold some cafe circles with your community, and then you just reach out and say, hey, who can kind of help me, support me? So, we're really trying to encourage you to just start holding your own empathy circles and cafes, or team up with others to hold them, or join some that are going. And we have the email list so things get announced there,
Great. That's so helpful. That helps me put it in one place and get it straight in my scattered today mind. Thanks.
I did want to add one point too, that there's also the facilitator support group that meets every second Friday. So if you're wanting to facilitate circles, you can come to that, and actually you get support. Lou is leading that, so you can share any struggles you're having with, or even forming, gelling an idea, and you get support from other facilitators. And so you get the feedback there. And then there's also, you can put out a call. For example, I'm hearing some anxiety about what you're doing on Tuesday. You can put out a call to the community and say, I need an empathy buddy. I'm doing something, I'm feeling a lot of anxiety about it or concern. And when you get heard by someone, you just get a half hour, an hour of listening, you know, as a therapist would do. That really helps to settle and ground you. And that's part of what the facilitator support is, that before you host some empathy circles, or especially if you're doing conflict type circles, then it's like there's all this energy on, oh, Jesus, is the whole thing going to blow up? But if you have an empathy, you know, facilitator, empathy buddy, it really helps ground you and settle you. So that's like another aspect, is getting that personal support.
Great. You know what? I need to visit the restroom, so I'm going to go off for just a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Thanks so much. I actually can still hear you, but you won't hear me.
Does anybody else have a question for Rasha or Edwin? Okay. Well, it's 1:42. Oh, go ahead, Shannon.
I was just wondering what time is the Friday facilitator meetup?
It's at 9 a.m. Pacific, so that would be 12.
Okay.
It's an hour earlier than we started here today.
Okay, great.
And
Thanks.
it's every second. And Lou always puts out an email to the full list. I don't know if you're on that, but
yeah,
It's every other.
He's been doing so he just had it yesterday, so it'll be 2 weeks. Will be the next one. So
right.
Really good.
Anybody else have a question? All right, shall we return to the big group? Oh, we don't have to return. Everybody just comes back here, right?
Yeah, we've got 2 minutes. So I just sent out a notice 10 minutes ago, about 10. So it'll be 11:45. Yeah, a minute and a half. About a minute, I'll close.
Right.
Oh, I guess again, for me, it would be good to take this again or do the pop-ups. One is time restraint. And everything is 2.5, 2 hours or so.
Yeah, taking it again is good. You can take it as a participant or as a trainee. Okay. Are you able to do Mondays? Is that a?
That's like I was looking at that, but that's challenging. That's during the workday.
Yeah, right.
And that's 2 hours that I can be called on, and it will be unfair to people.
Yeah, there's usually we have the cohort, 5 weeks, then 4 weeks open at intro cafes, and another 5 week, in the same time slot. But there's 2 empathy conferences that are coming up. One is for empathy and in museums, and then there's one on empathy in healthcare, and so I'm part of those, and I'm doing Empathy Circles intro for them. So we'll be using this time slot for those intro cafes. So that's why there's going to be 10 intro cafes on Saturday before we actually do another cohort on this time slot.
So I can join those.
You can join the intro cafes. Yeah, come and you can help facilitate breakout circles. You get some experience.
Okay. Are there ever any ones in the evening time? I guess I'm Eastern time. I know the time frame is really challenging all around. Or anything ever later in the evening, like after 5 or?
Not at this point, but anyone can certainly create a cohort. If you can get some people together to take part, right? The ones at least that I'm sort of facilitating are on Mondays and Saturdays for the time being.
It was just a thought in reference to when I heard trauma and self-care. Like this would be a great thing as a thought after the workday ends to unwind, but also to be heard.
Oh yeah. Work debrief. Yeah, share your struggles from the day.
Like we always tell people, before you go into your home, when you're already in them, to take a minute in your car to debrief yourself in a sense too before you go in, so you don't carry that.
Yeah. Maybe we could put an email out.
Circles. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we could put an email out to behavioral health care or health care period and get something started, Kevin.
Yeah, I like that. I know that's one of the things that they always struggle with. How do I separate their trauma and their experience? Interesting.
Okay,
thank you.
We're all back. So I think, Michelle, you were going to do this part.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody. So, and let me just bring up our question. Just one moment. Yeah, so, yeah, apologies, actually. Yeah, just 2 seconds. So we're just doing the first question from the breakout section. I'm just bringing it up here for us.
I put it in the chat.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I should have been prepared for it. So 1 minute per person. I'll call on people. And the question is like, what did you like about the training and what were the benefits to you? I'll go in the order of the screen. Shannon, would you like to share first?
Sure. Well, I got a lot from this training. I think I shared a lot in the group that we were just in about kind of what I got. I think in the beginning of these 5 weeks, I focused on learning to actively, or not learning, but honing my ability to kind of like listen to exactly the words that are said, like no more, no less. And as time went on, I noticed I felt more grounded in my truth as I was speaking. And both of those things felt so important. And like 2 major gifts that I think that this training provides. So I think I'm looking forward to getting added to the Google group, the list, and kind of just getting, I think this takes even more practice. And so I'm excited to learn about all the different opportunities there are. And it's just been wonderful. And so I really kind of have appreciated this time. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Al-Jazi, would you like to share next?
Yes, thank you, Michelle. What I liked about the training, I would say, first of all, the generosity of everyone who's participating in the training. I do think that you guys are volunteering your time for spreading the empathy culture. And I think that's really great, and that's really generous of you guys to do. Especially that I do believe of the power of communication. I think Bill have touched on that today from his experience. During my study, from my background, and having to do some experience or reflective papers, I've experienced that too. And I've saw that how lack of communication can escalate conflict very easily. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, Al-Jazi. Linda, would you like to share next?
Yes, am I okay. When I started this, I was thinking about it in terms of me being a better listener when I'm conducting mediations, but this has helped. This training has helped, but it's also helped me to focus on some things about myself. So it's been a win-win situation for me. I am interested in going a little further, so I will be on Monday, I guess, as a trainee. It's really good.
That's fantastic news, Linda.
And one more thing, the buddy calls, I get to meet people from other places, and that's been really great. Now I'm done.
Magic. Kevin, would you like to share next?
I guess, yes, I did everything Linda said in reference to the focus I had about me, also the greater focus that came out of it for me in reference to how do I expand further with this. How do I bring it to my organization? How do I bring it to people in reference to the ability to listen and also to speak in a way that you know that you're being heard? I think it's powerful that, you know, everyone could benefit from. And I think, you know, like other people said before, we're rushing through life so much that we're missing the finer points.
Yeah.
Sometimes that just being present. So I appreciate all my buddy talk conversations I had. I'm looking forward to go further. I probably try to repeat more, to learn more. Again, a society or group that I work with, or individuals, everyone can benefit from this. And I just thank you all.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Stephen, would you like to share next?
Sure. I don't know if this is the best training, but I think that the way it's set up is really, really smart and really effective. It's simple and direct.
Yeah.
And thorough in 5 sessions. I mean, it's really clear about what its direct goals are, and just it's very systematic. I've appreciated that. I would participate on Monday if I had it available, because that would be a really good thing for me. So I think what I'll do is come on Saturdays again at this hour and help how I can and learn what I can. Though I'm not available, I think it's next Saturday. And also, Rasha, as we talked about, I would love to try to figure out how to be available on Tuesdays. And Lou's thing, yeah, I can see some very specific ways to take next steps, which I appreciate. And with the goal eventually to create my own thing, not my own thing, but something that comes out of me, if you know what I mean. So yeah, thanks a lot.
That's really cool. Really good news. Stephen, Waid, would you like to share?
Yes, I can. What I liked about training, first of all, I'm super grateful for all your volunteering time. I found a lot of commonalities with Shannon's words. I learned a lot in the skills that were presented to all of us as the weeks went on. I like the structure, I like the feedback, I like the buddy calls, and most important, I like the practice. The benefits of the training to me were like first of all, I met great people. I think I met almost everybody over here except maybe 2 that are on screen. I learned about everybody's great experiences, and they taught me indirectly about their experiences and impacted me. I practiced the reflecting and the listening skills, something I needed to work on. So thank you for the opportunity. And to close all that, I'm liking to see where I can maybe contribute more, you know, and giving back to this amazing community. So thank you.
That's great news. It's cool. Thanks, Reid. Martina.
Yeah, I had a lot of benefits. I think the whole idea of this, the fact that, you know, that this is like a volunteer run thing and people are just doing this because they're so passionate about it, I find that extremely inspiring. So that just that whole idea to be immersed in something like this is incredible. And I liked everything, kind of like what Raid said. I like the buddy call and the challenges and how everything was structured and the feedback forms, and it was just very well organized. And one of the main things was I learned how to express myself more and to get more in touch with my true self. And a lot of walls came down that just really allowed me to be me more, and also to really get the essence of people, instead of listening to the words, just really feeling them and appreciating people more. And one more big thing was I kind of went into this thinking, oh, this is going to help people deal with their problems. And yes, that is something, but this whole joy thing just came up for me. And it just seems extremely, extremely profound way to grow your joy when you share it with others and hear other people's joy. It seems like a tremendous practice. So I'm really looking forward to starting this new circle project that I'm going to be doing. So I feel grateful for that.
Beautiful, really, really, really beautiful. Tiffany.
Okay, one of the things I appreciate about this circle is how so many people stuck with it, and I don't think I don't think we give enough credit to the people who've been here for the 5 or 6 weeks that we did it. You know, I understand some people are trainers, but you did not have to be here. And it's still very comforting to come every Saturday and see the same people, as opposed to, oh, I got bored, I just stopped coming. You know, it's a disconnect when that happens. And if you're building culture and people don't show up, then you're not really building the way you thought you were. So just the appreciation for everyone who showed up every Saturday for this time.
Thank you so much. Ralph, would you like to share?
Yes. As I said in the small group, I'll say in this larger group, everybody who's spoken so far and over the weeks, you awaken things in me that I didn't know were there. So I can say amen to what's been said before. I'll hit the idea of the generosity of the trainers and making this available. I'm going to sign up for I'll be at my 3rd cohort in a couple of weeks. And I expect that it'll be as valuable as the first 2. There's a kind of eternal time that I get into listening to the essence of other folks. It's just not ever bad to do that. In real life, there's a political race in Lawrence, and it's so troubling because people just glance off of each other. Nothing lands. So I take with me a commitment to help people to stand still and listen, stop, look, listen. And that's been strengthened in me. I can go on, but that's a minute, I think.
Thank you, Ralph. Francesca.
Yes, so much that's been shared already. I mean, I resonate with so much that has been shared. Tiffany speaking about people showing up every week and, feeling a sense of community and reliability and dependability in terms of holding space together. And I think that was really important. And yeah, just, meeting new people, cultivating perhaps deeper relationships. The things that come up in these empathy circles for discussion are not superficial. The empathy circles tend to flush up more enriching discussions about our humanity and what's going on with us. And I believe that cultivates a greater connection, which is, I believe, what the world needs more of. And, meeting people from all over the world, that's a cool thing too. how lovely that is. And then what Martina shared about authenticity. And Martina, I've actually noticed your shift actually when you're talking about more of you, like more of your authentic self is showing up more unabashedly, right? And more easily. So I experienced that in you. You know, I've seen that shift in you. And I think that's awesome that that's what this can do, right? It allows us to have an experience of ourselves that is deeper, more authentic, more connected. Yeah, and so I love the way it's structured as well. I really appreciate the challenges, because challenges are good to have, right? Because you never know, like it's good to be prepared for possible challenges. And then for me, I just want to participate as much as I can, you know, in any way I can to keep involved, to keep being part of this in any way I can. So that's where I'm at.
Magic. Thank you, Francesca. Kathy.
Yes. Well, I love what Tiffany said about the commitment. This quite a commitment, 5 Saturdays in a row for 2.5 hours. And so I appreciate everybody making that. And I love what Francesca said about how empathy really deepens the connections and we share from a deep place. That's been very rewarding. And also from myself, you know, to see what comes up from me. So that's interesting, you know, things that I didn't know I was thinking or feeling. And so, and how I'm bringing this out into the world. First of all, I'm going to keep coming to every Saturday because I love it. I can't imagine my life without it now. And secondly, I'm a volunteer for the Peace Alliance. And so I'm bringing it to the Peace Alliance to do 1 night a month to start with. So I'm very excited about doing that. So thank you all.
Extraordinary. Thanks, Kathy and Celine.
Well, I love this. I keep coming back to it. And I think one of the things I really appreciate is the learn by doing. I have been an academic so much in my life that this is really refreshing. And I love how, because of that, I feel I can connect with more different people. And in terms of the future, my Spanish language class is back on track. I got an email. They do want to do it, and looking at times, and I'm excited to be working with that. And within this community, I don't want to forget to say that I am interested and have been encouraged by Edwin to work on community building. And one of the ways that we can do community building is remember to ask each other to participate in our practice empathy circles. And more than practice, you know, we might want facilitators, like one person keeps the time and the other one does the other stuff. So please remember that we are all a resource to each other, and that you can, the email list is available, so we can make contact and continue working together and build community. And if you have any other ideas, I'm very interested in hearing them. And I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Oh, they're great reminders of the resources. Thank you, Celine. Washa.
Yeah, I'm here. Just catching dinner. I was very hungry, so I was just having dinner, just listening to all of you. So yeah, thank you all, especially to my group today, because I was on and off because I had guests coming, and they were so understanding, and kind of Kathy took over. I'm very, very grateful for that support. And that's one of the things that I love about the empathy circles. It's the openness and the support I find here. Anytime I come here with ideas, with you know, anything, there is always a space that's being held for me, and I'm deeply, deeply grateful for that opportunity. And like I was telling in the group, this week, this cohort helping train this cohort was especially important for me because it taught me some things about myself and how to kind of overcome them as well. So I found a problem which I didn't know was there, and I also found a solution to it thanks to this cohort. So I'm deeply grateful for that as well. And yeah, I think that's it from me. Thank you.
Thanks, Washa. Bill, would you like to share?
Yeah, I think we're all aware that we are facing large challenges and problems to our very existence as a species. And if we're going to overcome them, we're going to have to cooperate. And so I really appreciate each one of you. When you look back, if you could go forward 50, 100 years, and if we survive, it's because people are going to be dialoguing like this. And each one of you has created a mini culture of empathy in your heart and shared it with other ones. And this is the beginning of turning this ship around. Thank you.
Yeah.
Edwin, would you like to share with us?
Yeah, in our breakout room, I was sharing how I've been thinking. I have been starting to call this is the best empathy training out there, and to kind of give it a context, it's the best first step, sort of gateway, foundational practice that I know of. I've been doing, working on this topic of empathy for like 14 years now. Those books behind me are all books on empathy. I've interviewed like almost every one of those authors. There's about 300 interviews. And, I've kind of just really delved into empathy pretty intensely. And I find this practice, based on the work of Carl Rogers, empathic listening, bringing it into a mutual empathic listening is really the first step, the most effective that I've found. So I'm becoming, I heard the word unabashed. I'm becoming unabashed in saying that, have posted it, to LinkedIn and so forth. And I could go through all the reasons why I think it is the best in terms of I think somebody else mentioned it, but you're doing it, you're practicing it versus just didactic. Didactic is helpful, but just like exercise, if you have didactic exercise, you learn about exercise, that's good, that's helpful, but it's the doing of it that's so important. And this will be helpful in all the other learnings, practices that you do for learning and deepening empathy practices, person-centered approach, NBC, motivational interviewing, mediation, human-centered design. This basic skill is really foundational. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Edwin. I'll now pass to Celine.
Okay, so we're going to go around, and I was going to say really briefly, but if you want a little more time, you can say more about your plans for, and some of you have already said them, for your next steps with the Empathy Circles practice. And I encourage you to go ahead and, if you have some dream you haven't articulated yet, go ahead and say it. Nobody's going to call you up and say, so did you do that thing you said you were going to do? So go for it. Like I said, I have this dream of bringing this to the Spanish-speaking community, and it looks like this may happen. International Spanish-speaking community. I have no idea how it's going to work out, but that's one of the things I'm hoping to do next. So I will call your names again, and I'd like to start with Kevin. Would you be willing to, and then Stephen?
So I guess one of my goals is to go further in deepening the learning, to facilitate more strongly and be comfortable with the flow of it. Also to implement more an organizational type setting. I think it's definitely can be used and can enhance anyone coming into organizations, the ability to listen and to know that you're being heard on both parts, that management power, that facilitation of that piece. I think like someone mentioned earlier, how you lose so many employees because of the power struggle that happens within an organization. because they're not listening or speaking clear enough to be heard. So I'm definitely looking forward to go further and deeper with this and how to move forward. I think Rasha spoke about a PhD, and I was like, oh, I love that topic about empathy. It's very interesting, you know, as I look on my next level of understanding and trauma, as Kathy was speaking about as well for the population, because everyone, as this season that we're in, as Bill was saying, is coming out differently and change. It is need to be more supports for them, for all of us.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Okay, so Stephen and then Linda. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the time with this. Edwin, do you want to coach me there?
Yeah, about 1 minute.
Okay,
max.
yeah. Stephen, you have about 1 minute, and after Stephen, I'll call on Linda.
I have a very small dream, actually. It seems big to me, but relatively speaking, it's small. And that is just to continue working my way out of a tremendous amount of personal isolation that I've let myself fall into over the last many years. And I think that the practice of empathy is a really good way to do that, or will have a role to play. If I just organized an empathy circle among my acquaintances, it would be awesome. If I can pull myself out of my little rut and do that, small but big. That's it.
Thank you, Stephen. And you can have a lot of support from anyone in the cohort. Reminder.
That's a useful reminder. Thank you.
Linda and then Shannon. You're still muted.
I do that so I don't interrupt people. I have been talking to God, asking him to show me what my purpose is, what I should be doing, how I can have some type of impact and not just be sitting here letting life go by. And I believe part of this training, because I tripped up on this training, it's just, I was looking for something else, and I, like Alice in Wonderland, I fell into the hole. So I guess this is part of it. And so whatever I can do in the community, and, just to give back, I want to use this. It will be used.
Thank you, Linda. Yeah. So it'll be Shannon and then Martina. Go ahead, Shannon.
So I just feel very inspired just by people's, like Tiffany had alluded to, just sticking with this and also plans for the future. I can sometimes have a tendency to be a little shy, and like bringing an empathy circle into my sphere, no matter where, is, it's going to be going out on a limb a little bit, but I do want to, because I think it is very impactful. And that's part of what feels shy about it, because it has an impact. And so to be willing to have an impact, whether that be with family, with friends, with work. And so I'm hoping to continue to have the support of everyone in doing that. Thanks.
Thank you, Shannon. So it'll be Martina and then Francesca. Go ahead.
Yeah, I am very excited to bring this to people. I think a lot of people have been kind of what Stephen was saying, in their own little world. And I do feel like this really does, it's like a whole new animal, this practice, and breaking down some walls and just allowing some incredibly deep connections and just getting to know yourself. And so I'm really looking forward to diving more into it. I feel like it could just be, this is the start of something. It could just keep going and going. So I do have it's starting September 11th, Saturday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll probably email all of you for the first one. I'm going to start having 5 people, just empathy circle, and then maybe it will grow and we could do a cafe. I could get some more facilitators on sharing joys. And thank you.
Thank you, Martina. So Francesca and then Ralph.
Yeah, so I would like to, I'd really like to sort of connect more with this community. I mean, so many contacts, so many emails, so many possibilities with regards to even building with relationships within this community. And right now, I feel like that's what I need to do is keep cultivating, this connection with the community. And I'm not really ready to cultivate my own empathy circle because of the context of where I am in my own life. But I definitely want to, continue forging a sense of belonging in this community and building relationships within it. And from there, offering at some point, offering it in terms of an empathy circle that I would be facilitating. So that's like where I'm at right now.
Great.
And I'm looking forward to, and I'm really looking forward to reaching out and sharing more and deepening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Francesca. So it'll be Ralph and then Tiffany. Okay, Ralph, go ahead.
So at the risk of giving you an oversized ego, Edwin, I just want to say I really appreciate your being, I think what you said was unabashed, but there have been certain genius moments. I think Marshall Linehan's dialectical behavior therapy, Thich Nhat Hanh's engaged Buddhism, and this has genius to it. It's so timely. So where to go forward? I'm going to go slowly. I'm going to keep talking to my clinician friend. I have a number of irons in the fire. And I'm going to take the next cohort and hopefully be a better participatory trainee. But this is really the cat's meow right now. I think in our larger society, whether that society knows it or not. We're coming for you.
All right. Thank you, Ralph. Yeah. So I'll call next on Tiffany and then Al-Jazi.
Thank you, Celine. What will I be doing next in the Empathy Circle and building a culture? And instead of making it so intentional, which is what I said in our small groups, I'm just going to try to practice it all the time. That way it'll become more natural to me. And that way, without any forethought, people can feel like I've empathically listened to them without having to necessarily be on a Zoom call and that being the goal of a meeting, which is really treat people like that all the time. And then we'll build from there.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Tiffany. Al-Jazi, would you please go?
Yes, hello. So I really don't have a clear plan of what I'll do next, but I'm really interested and I would like to take part of it because I really can see the impact that it can do. But I'm the type of person that likes to give back, and I cannot thank you guys enough. But the best way that I think I can do is take a part of the intro cafes. So I will start to do that. I'll probably not be able to commit weekly, as I should be starting taking a course very soon. But yes, I still want to be part of it, but no clear plan at the moment, at least.
Thank you very much, Al-Jazi. Were you complete? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to call on Kathy and then Raed.
Okay, well, Tiffany, I'm your copycat today. I love the idea of coming to calls with the intention of just providing empathy. I think that would really switch around for me. And anybody who would like to help me get started with the Peace Alliance phone, the empathy circles, feel free to contact me. You can contact me at Kathy@Peace Alliance. It'll be practice for you and it'll help me get everything started. So thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, Kathy. So Rayed and then Rasha, please.
Yeah, so I believe in crawl, walk, run. So the crawling for me is keep exercising the empathetic listening and reflecting back what was being said, exactly how we preach. Another thing is Bill gave me a few ideas to do with my kindergarten and grade 1 kids. So empathetic listening for students. I'm gonna start practicing that. Also, similar to a lot of you would like to join the cohort trainings and the cafes and contribute back over there. And for whoever sends us out, their own, whoever is facilitating their own circles, more than happy if I have, the time and the schedules online to contribute to that and be part of your experience.
Thank you, Rayed. Rasha and then Michelle, please.
Thank you, Celine. For me, next steps, I've been doing empathy circles every alternate Tuesday, but again, it was just, especially when the pandemic got really worse, it was just my way of kind of bringing together people and just giving them a space where they can come, feel safe, and just speak about whatever they want. And empathy buddy calls, it was all people, like I do it with 3 or 4 others, and all of them, I met them through empathy buddy calls, right? And that's been going on. In fact, I think the next one will be the 12th or the 13th. So it's going really well. And we usually have around 10 to 15 people join every week, and a lot of people come back every other week. So that's something that I would like to continue doing. I'd continue to be a part of the design team calls on Wednesdays with Edwin. I mean, it's a call where we just discuss things that just ways to kind of get this process and everything about empathy circles as best as we possibly can get. And so we take up different projects and we discuss them, and a lot of ideas. So that's something that we're looking forward to doing. And then my work is all about empathy. So my organization, the Empathy University, so I usually go very, very deep into empathy in very long sort of courses. But like Edwin was saying, I think this is the perfect intro, right? Where I can get people to, see what empathy is without really even speaking. I can just show them what it is just by doing a circle. So this is the perfect sort of intro for people who would like later want to go very deep into empathy. And yeah, another thing that like Celine was saying, getting empathy circles in my regional language is something that I'm really passionate about, because in India we have like lots of languages, and I come from a southern state where we have our own very regional language. And so I'd really love to bring it to people here, and I've been talking to a couple of friends and just discussing ways in which maybe we can slowly get started doing it that way. So these are all things I'm looking forward to in the future. Yeah, and I hope you'll all be a part of this journey and we'll all get to work together in the coming days. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rasha. So Michelle and then Bill, please.
Thank you so much, Celine. So my intention is to continue on in the community and to just try to contribute in as many ways as I possibly can, and also to continue the trauma sensitive, this kind of trauma sensitive work that's emerging. And my original reasons for kind of coming into the movement was around this piece around suicide awareness. So I feel that there's something there that wants to emerge. So I'm just trying to sense out, you know, what's needed and what fits, and then just, yeah, try to follow that. And I really was touched by what Linda shared there about just like, yeah, just kind of trying to sense into what's called for, what's needed, and to try and, yeah, to step up to that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. So Bill and then Edwin, please.
Well, my next steps, and I'll put that, are, you know, to get empathy into schools, because I think this is the kids who grow up and learn this technique can benefit themselves and, you know, and our culture as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And Edwin.
Yeah, so, you know, we had started our training about the core values of a culture of empathy. So that was empathy, mutuality, openness, and care. So it's really, for me, it's like, how do we bring those values into the overall, you know, culture in our country and the world for that matter. So I just keep looking at different options, ways of spreading that message. And my congressman here has said he's a Democrat, he would do an empathy circle with Republicans. So can we get politicians to model empathy circles, you know, hold more trainings, and just keep trying to scale up. So yeah, thanks.
Well, I think we're complete here. I'm passing on to, I don't remember.
Me.
Bill, thank you.
Right. So I really appreciated what Edwin said, because that was kind of a part that was missing from this question too, the core values. And I would just say about the core values is that the empathy circle is a wonderful tool. I really believe in that. And I think naturally, you know, great things happen there. But it's important to understand, and again, this is not, you know, but empathy, mutuality, openness, and care. If you're running a circle and you don't feel those things, then you're not creating a culture of empathy, you're creating a cult. And that's the difference, that it's rooted in a greater sense of community. The empathy circle is not the only way to be empathic. We have rarely, but I have had people who said, this is not for me in something. And so I try to say, you know, that doesn't mean you're not empathic. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means it's not right for you right now. And so the values as we go forward are really the test, the proof of the pudding, so to speak. So I'll just kind of say that again, you know, we came up with empathy, mutuality, openness, and care. We tried to build that. Edwin has built that into the structure of the empathy circle. And I think it's important to just keep aware. Again, it's not comprehensive. You might have other words, that's fine. But, you know, if people feel heard and there's a smile on their face, then you're probably doing the right thing. Any other trainers, want to say anything else?
Yeah, I want to, Bill, I'm going to put in the sort of next steps. We mentioned it in our breakout circle. So the next cohort is cohort 13C, and there's the link to the sign up. It's on Monday, starts September 20th. Next week in this time slot is going to be the open cafe. So you're all welcome to come back, you know, check in, and also help facilitate breakout circles, because, you know, a lot of people come. You can actually help facilitate, and you should all be on the email list. If you're not, let me know, and that's sort of for announcements and so forth. So those are some of the next steps that I just want to let you know about. We're almost over time, so I'll keep it short.
Right. Okay. Are there any other trainer comments or trainee comments, whatever? Okay. So I'll just quickly then review. We held the final empathy circle with a focus on integrating our experiences and learnings. We harvested feedback about the benefits of training, and we also shared our intentions for hosting future empathy circles and contributing to building a culture of empathy. Please, after this session, fill out the course feedback form. The link is in there. I'm sure Edwin already has it in the chat as we speak. and then we'll go to our final jazz hands, final portrait. So,
Yay.
Oh,
okay. All right. Okay.
And your final value, I mean, feeling at the
Right.
moment.
Final feeling.
Into the chat. Warm-hearted, elation, happy, accompanied, grateful. So, all right, so we'll see you. Thanks everyone for joining us this time. We'll see you in our upcoming cafes and the trainings. And thank you so much for taking part. It's been a delight seeing you, connecting with you all.
Thank you, everybody.
yes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a great holiday.
You too.
Thanks, Kevin. You too.
Bye.
Bye, Al-Jazzy.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Hopefully see you soon. Yeah.
See.